Here's something nobody in the fashion space wants to admit. Most people doing the quiet luxury aesthetic, they're accidentally doing new money. And ironically, actual old money people think the whole trend is a little cringe. Today, I'm going to explain exactly why. And by the end of this, you'll be able to spot the difference in about 30 seconds. Let's start with quiet luxury because it's the newer term, and honestly, it's the easier one to define. Quiet luxury is an aesthetic. It's a visual language, and it exploded around 2022 and 2023, largely because of one TV show, Succession. If you watched it, you know. The Roy family didn't walk around in Gucci logos or Balenciaga sneakers. They wore $4,000 cashmere turtlenecks with zero branding, clean lines, muted tones, nothing that screamed, "Look at me," and yet every single outfit whispered, "I could buy this building." That's quiet luxury in a sentence, looking expensive without advertising it. The fashion houses that define it are places like the Row, Loro Piana, Brunello Cucinelli, Toteme, and Bottega Veneta, especially under Daniel Lee. These are brands where you can spend $3,000 on what looks, to the untrained eye, like a plain beige sweater. And that's the whole point. The exclusivity isn't in the logo, it's in the knowing. You have to already be in that world to recognize it. Visually, quiet luxury has a clear rule book. Neutral color palette, ivory, camel, slate, stone, navy. Exceptional fabric quality, cashmere, silk, fine wool, linen, minimal to zero visible branding, impeccable tailoring and fit. Nothing trend-driven, nothing obviously seasonal. Now here's the thing about quiet luxury. It is a trend. It's intentional. It's curated. People research it, shop for it, and consciously build it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it's important to understand what that means, because it's the first place where old money and quiet and luxury start to diverge. Old money is not an aesthetic. I want to say that again because this is the single most misunderstood thing in this entire conversation. Old money is not an aesthetic. It is a cultural identity. It is a set of values, behaviors, and, frankly, a very specific relationship with wealth that is passed down across generations. When we talk about old money in the Western context, we're talking about families whose wealth is at least 2 or 3 generations deep. Think Kennedys, Rockefellers, the British aristocracy, the old WASP establishment of New England. These are people for whom wealth is simply the water they swim in. It's not exciting. It's not something to display. It's just there, like the air. And that context, that inheritance of wealth, shapes everything about how old money people move through the world. Their clothes, often genuinely old, not distressed for effect, not vintage for the aesthetic, actually old. A blazer that belonged to their father, loafers that have been resoled 3 times, a watch that came in an envelope with a handwritten note. The worn quality isn't a style choice. It's just what happens when you keep wearing the same excellent things for 20 years, because you never needed to replace them. Their buying habits are almost the opposite of what you'd expect. Old money people are notoriously frugal on the surface. They'll drive a 10-year-old car. They'll wear the same wool coat every winter for a decade. They will, however, spend without blinking on things like school fees, property, and investments. Things that grow or appreciate, never on flash, never on novelty. The social code of old money is equally distinct. You don't talk about money. You don't mention what things cost. You don't name drop your net worth or casually mention your second home. Wealth is simply assumed in the room, and to acknowledge it directly would be, and this is their word, vulgar. There's also an institution-based identity. Old money is tied to schools, Eton, Harvard, Groton, to clubs, the kind with waiting lists measured in decades, not months, to inherited social networks where the name on your back matters infinitely more than the label inside your collar. So when we put old money and quiet luxury side by side, here is the core tension. Quiet luxury is a conscious choice. Old money is an unconscious inheritance. Okay, so let's get specific. Here are the 4 real differences that separate old money from quiet luxury, and why they matter if you're trying to build either into your own life. Difference number 1, the relationship with effort. Quiet luxury is deliberately effortless. Old money is genuinely effortless. This is subtle, but it's everything. A quiet luxury wardrobe requires real work, research, curation, investment, intentionality. You're making choices every morning that signal something. The whole point is that the result looks like you didn't try, but you absolutely did. Old money people don't think about this. They throw on what they always wear because it's what's in the wardrobe. The lack of effort isn't performed. It's just real. They've never had to think about looking put together because the entire environment they grew up in modeled that automatically. Think of it this way. Quiet luxury is a destination you're trying to reach. Old money is a place you never left. Difference number 2, the role of newness. Quiet luxury prizes newness in quality. Old money actually values age. This one trips people up constantly. In quiet luxury, you want the cashmere to be pristine, the stitching perfect, the leather unscuffed. It's about flawless, minimal, pristine quality. Old money has a different relationship with newness entirely. New things in old money culture can actually be slightly suspicious. The phrase nouveau riche, French for new money, was literally coined by old money families to describe people who bought shiny new things to signal wealth. In contrast, old money values patina, age, heritage, the things that show you've been around long enough for stuff to get old. This is why you'll see genuinely old money people in blazers with elbow patches, not the kind you buy pre-distressed on Etsy, but the kind that got there from actual use. Their barber jacket has actual mud on it from an actual country weekend. Their leather goods are dark, with years of natural conditioning, not factory-applied antiquing. The irony is this: the most expensive-looking thing in an old money wardrobe is often the thing that looks the most worn. Difference number 3, the signaling audience. Quiet luxury signals to everyone. Old money only signals to its own. This is probably the most important distinction philosophically. Quiet luxury is about communicating something to the broader world. I have taste, I have means, I don't need to shout. It's designed to be read. Old money doesn't care if you can read it. In fact, if you can read it easily, if it's that legible to an outside observer, old money might consider that a red flag. Their style codes are deliberately esoteric. The right school tie, the specific cut of a particular shirt maker, the provenance of a bag that hasn't been fashionable in 30 years. You either know or you don't. And if you don't, that's fine. You're probably not who they're dressing for anyway. This creates a fascinating paradox. Quiet luxury is actually quite legible and widely understood. The moment something becomes a trend, the moment normal people can shop it on ASOS, it has, by definition, left the quiet luxury territory and entered something else entirely. Quiet luxury is only quiet when it's exclusive. Once it goes mainstream, it's just minimalism. Old money style, by contrast, is immune to this trend cycle. Nobody's making a mainstream version of a 1960s barber wax jacket worn by someone who actually works the land on their family's estate. Difference number 4, the underlying motivation. And this is the one that cuts deepest. Quiet luxury is aspirational. Old money is post-aspirational. Quiet luxury exists because people want to look like they've arrived. It's about projecting a lifestyle, a status, a sensibility, and I want to be clear, there is nothing inherently wrong with this. Aspiration is human. It's actually beautiful to want to move towards something. But old money people aren't moving toward anything. They're standing still, not in a stagnant way, in a secure way. They have no anxiety about their place in the social order, so they have nothing to prove through clothes or objects. The result is a kind of radical, genuine indifference to how they appear, which ironically makes them appear incredibly powerful. The famous story about this: a journalist once asked an old money family patriarch why he still wore a 20-year-old watch when he could easily afford anything. His answer was something like, "Why would I need a new one? This one works perfectly." That response, that complete absence of status anxiety, is the hallmark of genuine old money. You can't fake it by buying the right watch. You can't fake it at all. Here's where this gets genuinely interesting. The quiet luxury trend, in its purest, most invested form, is actually a form of conspicuous consumption. Think about it. You're spending $3,000 on a cashmere sweater, specifically because it communicates that you don't need to display wealth. That is, by definition, displaying wealth, just in a more sophisticated font. There's a wonderful phrase that captures this: conspicuous anti-consumption. You're loudly, publicly, deliberately not being flashy, which is its own form of flashing. Real old money people would find this exhausting and a little transparent. And look, I say this not to shame anyone in the quiet luxury space. The aesthetic is genuinely beautiful. The emphasis on quality over quantity is genuinely good for your wardrobe and arguably for the planet. But if you're chasing quiet luxury because you want to embody something deeper, if you want the mindset that old money actually represents, then you have to understand that you cannot buy your way into it. Because what old money really is at its core is this: security that doesn't need external validation. That's the thing. That's the whole thing. The clothes are just the expression of it. The real work isn't in your wardrobe. It's in building such a settled, grounded sense of who you are and what you value that you stop needing the world to confirm it back to you. And the beautiful truth? You don't need generational wealth to get there. So how do you cultivate this? Here are 4 principles that actually work. 1. Buy less, but buy permanently. The old money principle isn't about spending more per item. It's about buying things you intend to keep forever. Before any purchase, ask yourself, will I still own this in 15 years? If the answer is uncertain, don't buy it. 2. Invest in mastery over novelty. Old money families put their resources into things that compound over time: education, skills, relationships, property. Every time you're tempted by a trend, ask yourself if you could redirect that energy towards something that grows. 3. Develop taste through exposure, not shopping. Genuine taste, the kind that reads as effortless, comes from spending time around beautiful things: museums, architecture, literature, craftsmanship. You develop a calibrated eye not by buying more, but by seeing more, deeply. 4. Cultivate indifference to external validation. This is the hardest one and the most important. Old money isn't a look, It's a lack of anxiety. Practice making decisions, what to wear, where to eat, what to do, based entirely on your own preferences, not on what will communicate the right things to the right people. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Because here's the thing, the quiet luxury trend is already evolving. Fashion is already moving on. By 2026, the conversation is shifting towards something the fashion world is calling bourgeois chic. A little more colorful, a little more styled, a little more expressive, and the people who went all in on quiet luxury as a trend will be chasing that next thing. The people who understood what old money actually represents, they won't have noticed. They'll be wearing the same excellent coat they've had for 8 years, and they'll look, without trying, like they belong everywhere they go. So here's the real difference between old money and quiet luxury, in 2 sentences. Quiet luxury is a language you learn. Old money is a dialect you grow up speaking. One is about looking a certain way. The other is about being a certain way. And the path from one to the other isn't through your wardrobe. It's through time, intention, and a genuine letting go of the need to be seen. If you found this useful, or if this challenged something you thought you knew, hit like, because it genuinely helps this reach people who are asking the same questions. And if you want more on building a wardrobe and a mindset that actually holds up over time, subscribe. I'm doing a deep dive next on the specific wardrobe pieces that straddle both worlds and actually deliver value long term. You're not going to want to miss it. See you in the next one.